Welcome to Sanguine Arts Locavart, the podcast that features interviews with local Twin Cities artists. This activity is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Metropolitan Regional Arts Council, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. I am your host, interdisciplinary performance artist Mary Prescott. Today, we are speaking with Ashley DuBose. Ashley is a Minneapolis-based singer-songwriter known for her appearance on NBC's The Voice. Her music spans R&B, pop, and acoustic soul. A St. Catherine University mathematics graduate, she released her debut album, Something More, the day after graduation. Named Best Female Vocalist by City Pages, her album, Be You, was highlighted as one of 2015's Best by the Star Tribune. Beyond music, DuBose is a mother of three, a real estate agent and developer, and a voiceover actress. Welcome, Ashley. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy you're with us too. Ashley, I know you mainly as an R&B and soul singer, songwriter, who is one of the most positive, uplifting people I think I may ever have met. And I'd love to start from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, and what were some of your earliest musical memories?
Yes. Okay. So I was born in Philadelphia, but I was raised here in St. Paul. When I say here, I currently live in Minneapolis, but here in Minnesota in St. Paul. And I started, I guess my earliest memory of singing, was along to the radio. I used to listen to KMOJ a lot. So they had a lot of pop, R&B, hip hop on the station. And so that was a lot of my musical influences was from the pop radio. And then also my mom, she would play gospel around the house and things. So, and we went to church a lot. So that's also a large influence in my music is gospel and the spirituality of church and faith. I have three siblings. So my mom has 4 children altogether. I'm the second of 4. And she raises by herself. And we were we relied upon like a lot of assistance, like from resources like the government assistance or, there were organizations that my mom tapped into to help get us exposed to different experiences and things like Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters program. So we were very much a product of my mother's love and the community outpouring of resources and, help in that regard too. So I'm a proud product of that, so growing up, we didn't have a lot of family, but we had a lot, like we had friends, close family friends that we called cousins and stuff because we came here not knowing anybody. So to this day, like the only relatives we have in the state is just my mom, her children, my siblings, and then our children. So we, planted roots here, starting a new generation of our blood relatives, starting with us. So that's an interesting, I think, aspect of my life that I don't think a lot of people have. Maybe a lot of transplants would have a similar story, but I meet a lot of people who have like generations and generations, grandparents who grew up here, and I don't have that. A lot of my family's still back east. So, my mom she made sure that we prioritize our schooling. So she was big on getting our homework done. She would always want us to go further than her. So a key to that was education and getting higher education. So we're all college grads too, thank God, because she didn't have the money to put us through school, but she made sure we did well enough in school that we were able to get scholarships based on our academics and things. So we were able to tap into some resources to go through school and leave without too much debt, thank God. And so that's a smidget a look into my childhood and upbringing. We had a lot of people that we brought into our family, like family. A lot of other people who were like us that didn't have a lot of family here in town. When I look back, I'm like, wow, I see how we kind of gravitated. We were kind of a magnet to those people who didn't really have family, but we were the family and they were our family. So that's pretty beautiful. And I think that's why to this day, I'm able to just connect with people because you don't need to be family to me to be like familiar, like I'm no matter people's age or background, like from a young age, I've been able to just, I don't know, connect with people of all backgrounds and things. And I think that's a
Yeah.
gift that my mom in my childhood gave me. So, yeah.
Yeah. You definitely have that, you have that about you that just you attract good energy to you, I think. And it's,
Thank you. Yeah.
probably a result of you just giving off that good energy. And that's a gift, I guess, from your mom. Um, is your mom also a musical person?
She likes to sing. She really actually she's been talking about getting some lessons and so yeah, she is musical. She likes music, she likes to sing. She has a good ear. My grandmother, her mother used to be in the choir and she has a beautiful voice too and she likes to sing. She loves to dance. Like yeah, she'll turn the music on and just be dancing like for an hour in the living room like she's at a club. Like if she's 70, oh, let me get her age right. I think she's 76 going on 77 this April. So so yeah, musicality and I think that I get that from my mom's side for sure. She never performed. Um and I think the only performance my grandma might have done is like singing in the choir. But yeah, that's definitely, she encouraged me to sing. So the reason I get in front of people and sing despite any nerves or anything I might feel is because my mom started me off young. Like, hey, Ashley, come sing for them. My daughter can sing. Look, come here, Ashley. Like, and I'm like, no. So yeah, I definitely get the music, in the encouragement in the music regard from my mom and my grandmother. My grandma throughout the years would, and to this day, like will call me and say, oh, you got it. You got any new songs or I got a song idea for you. I want you to take it and make it into something. You think you could do anything with this? Like they're very invested in my music. And I was gonna say, I don't want to give off any false impressions that I'm all like positive all the time. I'm very much a whole human, and the people who know me best will,
Of course.
you know, attest to that. But when it's like when you can curate what you put into the world, like I definitely want to put positivity in the world. But like honestly, I deal with it all, the ups and the downs, and I think the music that come from the darker place, I don't want to put that out because I like don't want to reinforce that but at the same time, I know there's value in putting that side of me out too, because it maybe allows people to connect a little more. I've even had my younger sister ask me
Mm,
years ago, why do you always sing like happy songs? Like it's always sunshine and like, roses. And I'm like, well, I guess that's because I feel when I feel good, it pushes me to
mhm,
create and I'm talking about how great I feel, And sometimes
mm.
when I feel bad, it pushes me to create. And that stuff comes out of a negative place in my mind. So I'm like, I don't want to put that out because I don't want to put out the negativity. Anyway, a small detour, but I just felt like saying that because it kept coming up, when you said I'm positive, which I'm glad that that's what people associate me with is positivity. Like that's great. But I also anybody watching, I want, everybody to know that no, I'm not always positive all the time. That's just the part of me that I don't let too many see, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that, that can be private, of course. And yeah, for sure. We are not all just one thing, are we? We're many things that make up the whole, and we all have rich human experiences, the good and the bad and the ugly and everything else and the beautiful. So,
yes.
thank you for saying that and sharing that about yourself too. You talk about gospel and the church. I'm wondering who or what else inspired you to get into music, or if you want to expand on the gospel.
Yeah. Well, like as far as gospel artists that have inspired me or that I've loved like listening to, singing along with their music over the years. Kiara Sheard is one. Mary is a duo, sister duo. They're another Kirk Franklin and the uh KTIS is a station that my mom would listen to. She would have it on like constantly to kind of like cleanse the air, like the positive with the
Mhm.
Holy Spirit, like let it permeate the atmosphere. For years, she would always have it on like background music. The radio would constantly be playing KTIS. So in the car, at the house. Um, And then artists who are not, they don't make Christian music, but, more R&B, secular music as we call it. Uh, Aaliyah, Destiny's Child, India Ari,
Mhm.
um, a lot of them. Alanis Morissette, Jewel, um, Lauren
You're tapping
Hill for
into my
sure.
childhood now too.
Yeah, Tony Braxton, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, like all of the mainstream, like that's where I would get my music from. Either it was mainstream or it was gospel and Christian alternative. So all those artists, and I love Jagged Edge. Like anything that gave me a good melody of Chris Brown. I mean, he's a goat. I mean, it's crazy to say, but growing up, like I started listening to him when he first came out, and I was a junior in high school. So he's been right there along my journey, musically growing up, and I love him. Michael Jackson, um, yeah, so many influences. Those are a good sampling of all the artists that I've admired, looked up to. Britney Spears, oh my gosh, how could I not include Britney Spears? Backstreet Boys, like, yeah. When I say pop, pop. And then, what was I gonna say? Oh, we used to make dances up and stuff to Britney Spears, and like the "Hit Me Baby One More Time." We had a whole routine to that. We had like a whole routine to like an Aaliyah song. When I say we, me and my siblings. Yeah, so performing, I would look at Britney Spears performing, like, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do," like, she was like a Beyonce for a long time. But I would, see her perform, and I'm like, "Man, that'd be so amazing. Like, I want to do that one day." The music videos, like Aaliyah's, uh, uh, "Baby Girl." Which one is that? Are You That Somebody? That song. I remember that video. Like I loved it. It was like one of my favorite videos ever. And the dance moves and
Mm.
stuff, like doing all the dances. That's like the stuff I imagined doing when I got older. So yeah, just seeing other artists do it on a high level, that really made me want to be a performer and a singer. And then I would start. At one point, I started writing songs in my room. I think I was like 10 years old, 10 or 11. And just, I remember laying on the ground by my closet, laying on the carpet, just writing songs. I was practicing my autograph. I had different artist names for myself. I would record myself on the tape player. I don't know if you remember when tape players had
Uh,
the record button. If you put a tape in there and you press play and
yeah.
record at the same time, it would record you. And so I would record myself in my room. Yeah. I would look up lyrics like Twista. Like I always like to rap, and I love rapping along to rap songs. So Twista, you know who Twista is? He's from Chicago, and he's like a very quick rapper. Like his songs are like they're just so fun, it's like ear candy for me. And so I would stop, start, stop, start, stop, start his songs until I like learned the whole song. And that's how I learned
Yeah.
the music and like sing along with him or rap along with his music. Yeah. Music has just always been a really like big part of my life. Now that I'm like reflecting on it, I'm like, wow, like the thing that I've always liked to do, more than anything else has been music. As of lately, that's kind of like changed for sure, but we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, we will. We will. Um, you talked about this a little bit, but was there a defining moment when you knew that you were going to go for it and make music a part of your career?
Yes. Okay. So it's when my daughter, who's now 15, she was like 9 months, and I was in college, and so there was a period of time before I had my daughter where I always knew I wanted to be a singer, but then I knew I was going to school because like that was always my plan B, as my mom always told us to have a plan B, something to fall back on. So I was like, okay, I want to be a star,
Mm-hmm.
but just in case I'm not a star, you know, get my education so I can be able to get a good job, blah blah blah. I found out that I was pregnant when I was in my sophomore year of college. And so then it was like, uh, plot twist. Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to be a star if I have a baby? Like, this is not looking like it's going to work out. And so there was a lot of fears as a young girl, 19 at the time. Her father was very supportive, wanted me to have our child. I was on the fence because I was, obviously scared about how my future would look, the things I would be able to do. And fast forward, I chose to continue my pregnancy. Thank God that I did. My daughter is wonderful. She's like an angel on earth, but she's not perfect. So I'm not going to call her an angel, but she's like amazing. The best thing that's ever happened to me. So when I
That's great.
released my album, it was a day, fast forward, I released my album a day before I graduated. So I literally had the release party and then the next day I graduated. So the irony of those two things being these big goals that I thought to myself might not be possible now that I'm a young mom actually happened. Boom, boom. Like, and that was like a testimony
Yeah.
to just the the theme throughout my life of God has been there and has looked out for me. He he knows my heart and my intentions are good, and I'm trying my best to do. I don't always make the right choices, but my intentions and my goals, um, are good. And I feel like because of that,
Hmm.
he has gotten me through. He has provided in times where like I didn't know how I was going to make it work. So that was a testimony and an instance in my life of many times where God has shown me, like, see, like, look, you do the right thing. You do, you just continue to do what you can, and I'm going to meet you the rest of the way, type of thing. Right. So, when did I decide to take it serious? So, rewinding before that moment. So, I was in my apartment and one day, and I was like, you know what? I had been singing for an artist who's no longer with us, my brother, my friend, the late great Mike Dreams, and he is one of the best lyricists I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And honestly, if I didn't even know him and wasn't his friend, I would still be in awe of his music. It just so happened that I was able to meet and be closer to him than just a fan of his music. But he tapped on me a couple times to bring me in to sing a couple choruses. So I ended up singing like 4 or 5 songs on his projects over the years. And about 2 or 3 songs in, I said, Mike, can you give me your producer's information? Because I've always wanted to do my own thing too. Like I've always wanted to put an album out and make my own music. And seeing him do it and me coming in to sing on his stuff, I saw that it was possible, you know. And before
Hmm.
that point, I had been in the studio a couple times, but nothing serious. I had never released any music under my own name or anything. So I was like, can you kind of like give me a little introduction so I can talk to your producer to see if he'd be willing to work with me. So he introduced me to his producer. His name is Wiz, or Wisdom, short for Wisdom. Me and Wisdom started working together, and then Wisdom had a roommate named JT, or Jimmy Easy is his producer name. And he was showing me before he introduced me to him. He was showing me the work that he was doing with these youth. So he was working at the YMCA and making this amazing music with the youth there. And I'm like, what? Like, who is this dude? So one day he came down the stairs to like, cause the Wiz had his studio A in the basement and studio B was upstairs, and they were renting a townhome. And so they had artists coming in and recording, and they had some amazing artists over the years. Mike Dreams was one of them, obviously. Lexi Alger, who's also no longer with us, an amazing lyricist, like could have been out of this world, and she was gone too soon. But her music is amazing too. Uh, Also, Fly Henderson, no longer with us, amazing artist, just like the greats, just taken from us. But these are some of the people who used to record at the studio. So anyway, JT comes downstairs, running downstairs to like get something out of the laundry. And like he must not have known that I was down there or something. And he like had his shirt off and he comes out and he's like, oh, hey, like, oh, there's somebody here. And then Wiz was like, yeah, actually, this is JT. So I'm like, wow, nice to meet you. Like the music I've heard from you is like amazing. I would love, to work with you sometime, like whatever I said. But so I remember that moment when I met him. So eventually we started working together and we created my first album called Something More. And then years later we made uh BU. And that, you know, we
Hmm.
touched on in my intro. So those two, uh, Wiz and JT were the executive producers on BU. And while we were making something more, Wiz was working with Phi Henderson, and he was trying to finish up his project. And so he had a deadline to meet, and we were trying to meet this deadline of this release show date that I turned into a release show because I got the opportunity to perform at Honey, which is no longer around, but Honey was like my spot. So Honey, Minneapolis, it was downstairs from Ginger Hop, the Thai restaurant, if you're familiar. So I had the opportunity to perform, and I said, I want to perform, but I want to like have something to give the people after the show. I don't want to just be empty handed and be like, well, thanks for coming out. That was me. Like, I want to be like, yeah.
Hmm.
And if you want, you could get my CD and here it is. So we ended up using that as our, deadline and motivation to get my first project done. So something more was done without, Wiz, but he gave his input in things as much as he could. But he was like really focused on finishing Fly's album, and it ended up that Fly ended up passing shortly after that. So it was like a really important thing that he was able to buckle down and do. And it's just all these moments. Obviously, in hindsight, like as it's going on, I didn't see all the connections and how it all played out, but. Um,
Yeah.
you know, that's that call that I made to Mike to say, "Hey, can you connect me with your producer?" That happened when I was a single mother at Jeremiah program in my apartment, and they were a big part of my ability to even make an album while I'm going to school because they provided affordable childcare for me. And anybody with kids knows if you don't have childcare and if you don't have affordable childcare, it's so hard to get out of to get out of that place where you're at, whether that's to make music or go to work or further yourself. It's just children, they require so much care and time and love, and sometimes you have to choose one or the other. But Jeremiah program allowed me to be able to do all those things and still have care and love and education and time away from my children so I can do those things. And so that was a
Mm.
big part. Shout out to them in my journey. But I made that phone call when I was like, no, I'm not going to let this be a reason why I can't. I can easily be like, oh, I can't do it because I'm a mom, I'm a young mom, I'm doing school, XYZ. And I was like, no, I'm going to try. So I just made that decision to try, and it got me very far. Everything I have now
Yeah.
is a result of pursuing the music. And yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for music, and I'm grateful that I had the whatever that was, the desire and the oomph to go for it, you know? So yeah, this is nice to reflect on.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely a go-getter, and that's reflected in everything else that you do too, and we'll get into that in a little while. Um, Great story. A lot of folks out there might know you as a contestant on The Voice in 2013. When you auditioned for it, you were working full-time as a programmer analyst. When you were working doing something completely, separate from music, what prompted you to give The Voice a shot?
Well, it was that dream that was still alive that's like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is how I'm gonna become a star. And there was a there was so I did a performance at this place in Northeast. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was like right off Broadway in like this industrial place. Tish Jones was hosting. Shout out to Tish Jones. And there was this
Hmm.
artist named Ashley Gold, and she had a fan who came. Her name's Kelly. And Kelly, if you're watching this, big shout out to you. I always shout her out. She sent me a message and was like, "Hey," so she met me there. She had never heard of me. She came to see Ashley Gold. She ended up hearing me and ended up becoming a fan of my music. And so since then, she's been to shows and things that I've done over the years. Like to this day, she's a big supporter. And she messaged me on my Facebook and said, The Voice is going to be in town this weekend. You should try out. So I knew about The Voice. I would tune in every now and then and watch the show. And I was like, wow, like I actually have a shot to be on this. This is like when X Factor was real big. And, I think the X Factor actually was out before The Voice. So I remember just watching these shows and like living vicariously through these people and like crying at their stories and stuff. And I'm like, wow, like imagining what if I had a shot to do that one day. So when she told me that, it was no questions asked. I went online trying to figure out how to audition and everything. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, okay, wait, rewind. So I went online and I got the information quick. And then I don't think I registered right away or whatever had happened. The day came and my sister's graduation party was that afternoon. So I was getting ready to go to her graduation party and I was like, oh yeah, let me see if I can quick like audition real quick on my way there because it's happening on the route to where I gotta go. So I was like, I'll quick go in, bing bam boom, bada. And so I went online. I wasn't able to register for the 7 o'clock because I wasn't able to register for the 11 o'clock because it was full. And I wasn't able to register for the 7 o'clock because it had already passed. And right now it's like 9 something. And so I sent out an email real quick to two different emails. No, I sent out an email to info at NBC The Voice, and I'm like giving them my sob story. I have dreams to be a singer and da 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 da, and I missed the deadline for for 11 o'clock, and I'm wondering if I can still come. Blah blah blah. I shot that off. Then I continued to get myself and my daughter ready to get out the door. So I never got a response. But I was like, I'm gonna stop by anyway and just see, if I can just. And so it was a really hot day in July. It was like 90 something degrees. And apparently the line was wrapped around the building, right? And I had my daughter with me. It just so happened that when I got to the front, the line had just got in the door. So I didn't have to wait out in the heat with my daughter. And then the guy, there was a security guard and he was like, you got your daughter with you? No, you got your baby with you? This is like an interview. You don't bring your baby to an interview. He was like, he was reprimanding me for having my baby with me. And I'm like, damn, like,
Yeah.
okay. So I called my brother. I'm like, Jeffrey, can you come get Cameron, please? Because I'm at this audition, blah, blah, blah. And so he came and got Cameron for me. God bless my brother. Listen, he got the babies right now so I could do this interview. My brother is amazing. He just celebrated his 33rd birthday. Shout out to you, Jeffrey. Jeffrey
Aw,
DuBose.
happy birthday.
Football star. Amazing guy. Family man. Just had his own child last July. Amazing guy. So he came, got Cameron from me, and I went through the process of auditioning. So I came and I sang Killing Me Softly by Lauryn Hill, a song I still perform to this day. And it was 10 people. We're in a room like in a semicircle, and there's like imagine I'm the person, right? And you're sitting in a semicircle. There's 10 chairs, and
Mm-hmm.
you come up to me, you sing, all right, thank you, sit down, next person. So I came up, sang my song, sat down. Everybody went through. She was like, okay, Ashley DuBose, can you, if I call your name or whatever, can you come up, whatever? So I'm the only name she called. Came up there, she was like,
Wow.
I really like your voice and everything. That song you did you're gonna want to pick something more current, right? She felt like it was too old of a song, and I'm like, okay. She's like, but yeah, you're through to the next round. Everybody else, no. So I got through that round. I was the only person, and then the next order of business was to um go home, prepare 3 songs, either to accompaniment, like instrumental accompaniment. Like if you play the guitar, play piano, you can accompany yourself, or you can have somebody else come in and accompany you, or you can sing to a track. So I decided to sing a song to a track and then 2 songs with accompaniment. But one of those 2 songs was Killing Me Softly, and it was a track, but accompanied by the um, guitarist, Omid Hutter, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Omid. Omid Hutter, Hettar. And so we prepared, came back, and it's crazy because it was a couple days into my starting as Securian, and my first week I'm asking them, can I get an exception, to miss work, come in early, get out, take a shorter lunch break, asking for all this. And I'm like, dang it, looking back, I'm like, I had the audacity, but it was like my dream, right? And they were really cool with it. They were like, yep, I'm still in training, mind you. And they're like, yeah, just take a shorter lunch and, come in a little early if you can, like kind of like make up for that time or whatever. Cause I had to leave early to
Yeah.
go to this second round auditions. So the first song goes well, second song goes well. The third song, Killing Me Softly, the track starts off with a very low bass note and I couldn't hear it. And I started in the wrong key. So I'm in the wrong key, track's in a different key. Omid is trying to help, but I think he was either in the right key because he knows what key the song starts in, or he like tried to match my
Yeah.
key. But long story short, it was off, right? For a good like 2/3 of the song,
Right.
or maybe like a half of the song. And so I'm in my head like, oh shoot, how do I fix this? Like, how do I get back on the right key? Like, but finally I got back on track. We were all in the right key, and then we finished the song. But in my mind, I'm like, dang, I'm like, I effed it up. I messed it up. They're not gonna choose me. So the next thing was, okay, if you got past that, then they invite you to go back and do an interview, a recorded interview. So they invited me back. So I got past that. So regardless of that, I was like, okay. So if I got to the interview round, then there's still hope. Hope is alive. So I'm like, because they could
Yeah.
have just
Yeah.
decided, all
Yeah.
right, thank you, that's enough, and then sent me home. So I do the interview and everything, and the next order of business is to wait. So now we wait 30 days. If you don't hear back from us by, X date, that means you have not been selected to move forward. So otherwise, stay tuned. We'll reach out to you. So for a month, I held out hope. I'm like, I messed up, but overall it was really good. So I think, I still got hope. So I had hope to the very end, and then I never got the call. So it was a no-go. So, oh girl, this is a long story, but I'll wrap it up for you.
No, it's great. I love it.
Okay, so they do 2 seasons a year, whereas like the other ones do one a year, right? So the next place they were going to be auditioning for so that was season 4 I auditioned for. Season 5, they were going to be having auditions in Chicago. So just to make a long story short, I ended up flying out to Chicago, and the rest is history. But there's some really cool moments in there. I'm just trying to keep it short. But I ran into that same
Yeah.
security guy, and I was like, he was like, I remember you. And I'm like, yeah, I remember you too. But he was so kind. He was like,
That's
he
good.
he was kind. He was like, I was just telling you that out of like love, and I'm like, I appreciate it. I understand. But yeah, he remembered me. Some of the people who I was auditioning for also remembered me. So I'm like, okay, that's dope. Like I have some I want to say memorabilia. That's not even the word, but memorability. You know what I'm saying? Like I made an impression. So
Yeah.
good or bad, I made a lasting impression. But lo and behold, round after round, I kept going. Each time I was like, I just want to get past the point I did last time. And then once I got past that point, I'm like,
Hmm.
I just want to get to LA. I just want to see palm trees one day. Like I'm not here to win the whole thing. I'm here for the experience and to see how far I can go. And they flew me and my mom and my daughter out to LA. They put us up in a hotel, and like we were sequestered. We couldn't really go anywhere. Like it wasn't like we were going out and sightseeing. We could go across the street to the strip mall, to Target, to like get food and stuff. We would have to sign in and out. And we were under strict
Wow.
rules not to say anything about what we were there for. We couldn't tell the guests in the hotel if they asked, "What are y'all doing? What is this?" We couldn't tell, we couldn't tell our family anything. Like it was fun. It was like a big
Man.
fun secret, to be able to not spoil the surprise and then let everybody find out with me how far I went. Some people put
Mm.
two and two together. Like
Hmm.
in my household, they're like, "Well, you're here now and we're watching this show, so we know you didn't get that something.
Oh,
We know you didn't win because if you did win, you would be
yeah.
right here." But they still got to like see it unfold and get excited. Like, and we'll tune in next week. Like
Yeah.
that was I like that part of it, and yeah, that was, it was a great experience. Obviously, a great resume builder as an artist. It opened up a lot of doors and opportunities to perform and stuff. So I'm really grateful that I did the voice. Oh, there was a period of time where I was so scared to get on a plane. I was so scared. I almost didn't go. They had a psychologist call me because I was telling them how scared I was. I'm like, I've been having dreams about plane crashes and stuff. And like, I'm so scared to get
No.
on the plane. And I had to get on the plane to go to LA. And they were like, so they had a psychologist call me, and they were like, well, they're concerned. And I'm like, I understand, but like, this is a real fear that I have right now. And he was like, I understand because I actually had a friend who had a feeling not to get on a plane, and she got off. And that plane actually ended up going down. I shouldn't say that because I don't want to like put fear in anybody, but you know, he didn't look at me as being crazy. He said, you know, it's a thing. You know, people have feelings and they have to trust
Yeah.
their intuition sometimes, and you're just, you know, so basically he green flagged me, you know, he, because I guess they were like, call this lady and see if she's crazy or not. And I don't know, he probably got it wrong because I think sometimes I am crazy. But I was still able to move forward in the show. So yeah, that happened. And so yeah, that was a thing that almost stopped me from going forward, but I, in spite of that, and I went on to like be a part of this band that we would travel everywhere. I've taken so many planes by then. I mean, since then, and like that
Mm,
fear I used to have, it was
mm,
a crippling fear, has gone away. I still get a little nervous
mm.
sometimes, but I'm like, I've been on so many flights that have been successful that I'm like, nah, God got me. Like, I'm okay,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean,
So
every flight you've been on has been successful, right?
right, right. So I'm like, you know, and then also I'm like, when I go up, I'm like, my life is in his hands. Like, my life is in his hands. You know, if this is it, it's it. But I'm not about to scare myself the whole ride. Like, I'm gonna enjoy this thing until it's not enjoyable anymore. You know, I'm about to enjoy the ride. I love going up, and I love coming down, and even when it's like kind of like whoa, like a roller coaster, I love it because I'm like, the closer we get to the ground, it's almost over. And it feels just
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's a mental thing. You know, you can psych yourself into and psych yourself out of things. So I just practice psyching
Mhm.
myself into it's going to be okay. And I like it. You know, I love going up and above the clouds. It's like such an exhilarating feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how to help yourself through those moments.
I got to sing the national anthem for the Timberwolves next Wednesday. And I'm up here trying not to psych myself out of that. I'm like, listen, it's going to be so much fun. It's been years since I sang the national anthem, and that song is not an easy song to sing because you got to
No,
start
it's
at the right
not.
note. You got to
Uh-huh.
start off at the right note, and when you're doing it a cappella, you know, and when nerves kick in, I've had some not so great experiences, and I've had some good experiences, but like I'm like, I don't want good. I want it to be great. I want this to be the best national anthem I've ever done, and I gotta psych myself into it because the other side is right there and I can psych myself out. And I'm like, I don't want that, you know? So, um,
Mm.
yeah, our brains, our minds are powerful. So
Yeah. Well, you're going to do beautifully, and it will be what it is, and it's going to be all
yeah, yeah.
you, and it's going to be great.
Thank you. I received that.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about the voice experience. How did it influence you going forward, being part of all of that, and did it shift your goals?
How did it influence me? It definitely influenced my career, like my you know, getting booked for things,
Mm,
making a name for myself in the city. Like, you know, some people already knew who I was before The Voice, but a smaller, you know, a smaller handful of people. So that's one way. It made me feel like I could do it. It gave me encouragement, and I'm like, wow, if I could get on a stage that big, you know, and Adam Levine and Christina Aguilera and CeeLo and Blake Shelton, they're looking at me and telling me how great, you know, I am in sound, and I'm like, wow, if that's possible, if I did that, like, wow, I got something, right? So I came back and I started working on an
mhm,
album, and I was like, we got to put something out. But the thing I didn't have was management. And I felt like if I had
mm,
management who knew what to do and what steps to take and how to really capitalize on that experience, I might have gone further my brand, you know? But at the same time, that's not meant for everybody. And to this day, I'm like, I like the life I live. You know, even when I don't like the
yeah.
life I live, I overall like the life I live. And I like my privacy. I like that I haven't gone through like getting taken advantage of by, you know, labels and executives and things that you just hear all these stories about people
Mhm.
who, you know, are so successful and we know who they are, but then you're like, dang, what they have to go through when it comes out. I'm like, ugh, I'm glad I didn't get tied up in that industry like that or get my behind
Yeah.
handed to me,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I don't think
Mhm.
my skin
Mhm.
is that thick. When you're on a platform like that, people are commenting on you and talking about commenting on things and talking about you, and like you see those things, and like I think that's a lot. That's just a lot. Like nobody needs to know all the negative things and nasty things people think about them. And celebrities, for some
Mhm.
reason, people are just so free to give their opinion about somebody. And I'm like, I don't know if I would want that. So,
Yeah.
as much as when I was
Right.
younger, I wanted to be a star, there's things about being a star to this day that I do like the idea of being able to have doors open, to be able to have, to earn more money because there's more demand and like higher value opportunities and stuff, to be able to help people through getting more money and things like that. Like I think about that, but on the other side, I'm like, I'm a very, like, I have social anxiety. I don't think it'd be very pleasant for me to be always in demand, the way that these
Mhm.
stars
Mhm.
are. Like, they got to go to award shows and they got to do interviews and they got to do this and that and this and that. And like, they got to think so much about, because they're under a microscope, how they look, how they sound, what they
Right.
say, what they do. Like, I'm a person that likes to march to my own beat, and I don't want nobody telling me what to do. And I
Mhm.
definitely
Mhm.
don't want to be like a slave to the public, like in public perception,
Right.
and like I'm slave to it. And I got to make sure I'm winning over the public every time. Like I'm not a politician. I'm not. And that's not, I feel like stars are in a way of politicians. And I'm like, that's not my calling. So
Yeah.
that experience made me feel like I got it. Like I have something that's worth something, that's capable of being on a large platform. And in that time, for a long time, I still was working towards making a name for myself in the industry at large. And what it ended up being was I was able to be right here in Minnesota, be appreciated and hired by people right here in Minnesota, and able to make a living for myself, for my daughter, now my family. I've since had more children. And all of that was possible through music. And it didn't have to come along with all the other stuff that I imagine I wouldn't like,
Mhm.
you know? And so I'm like, I'm very okay with, but I do, that's not to say I'm okay with where I am, um, in terms of creativity. Like I want to create more. I feel like I had to take some time off, and I do feel that creative juice starting to flow again. But as far as like the light, the heights that my career has reached, I'm okay with right now. And
Mhm.
I owe a large part of that to the voice for sure. And sometimes I wonder if I
Mhm.
could have or would have or should have taken it farther. But those are thoughts that aren't very conducive to anything. Because it's like, well, here's where I am, and I'm okay with where I am because I love my family. I was able to get back with my daughter's father, you know, and who's to say that would have happened if my life took off in a different trajectory. So we had two more children. So I think it's a pretty rare story, to have a child and then go 11
Mhm.
years without really even having any real contact with each other. He was still co-parenting, but we had a turbulent, relationship for a large part of her life. Then she turned, and he even got married at one point, and they got divorced, and he dated somebody else, and then they broke up, and he was like, well, let me see what Ashley doing. And I'm like, boy, I ain't think about you. And then I'm like, fine, let's hang out, let's be friends, let's see. Like I'm open to seeing if any spark ignites anything, but like honestly, I'm not there. Like I don't feel that. But sure, let's hang out, let's go, let's start hanging out as a family, let's go bowling. So we had a bowling date, a family bowling date, and then we get to the house. I get to his house, and there's like some cousins over, and Cameron, our daughter, wants to stay and play with her cousins. So she's like, "Can y'all just go without me?" And the rest
And
is
you're like,
history. So,
and he's like,
right,
"Okay."
and here we are. Right.
Sure.
So, sure. And then
That's so
like
funny.
when we got there, we couldn't just get straight to bowling because there wasn't a lane open. So we had to hang out at the bar and get a drink and just talk and catch up. I'm like, what is this? Are we on a date? Because it feels like a date. And then I'm like, oh, like now I'm thinking about how I'm looking as I'm bowling. Like, am I looking? Like you know, like the what is this? So I'm like, okay, I think I like him. And I'm sizing him up. I'm looking at him like, okay, like, yeah,
So you mentioned that you had your daughter when you were in college, your eldest child, and then you've had 2 more children since then. Um, and I'm wondering, could you tell me a little bit about your parenting journey through all of that?
yeah. My parenting journey. Well, I was a young mom, and uh, I think my parenting style has been um kind of like because we're so close in age, we're growing up together, my daughter and I. Now the boys, it might be a little different. Yeah, a little different. I think I'm a lot more patient and more relaxed with the boys. My daughter wasn't a problem at all. She was so easy and so smart, always
Mm,
so smart. And so she's been my companion through life. Like she's I would say my first love, Like she has so much wisdom and she's seen me grow up as she's grown up. And so she's just been a mainstay in my life. And so my parenting with
mm,
her, I try to give her as much as I could, expose her to different things, like activities, uh, opportunities to learn. She's fluent in Mandarin because she went to a Mandarin immersion school. And that was something that I knew I wanted her to know another language. And then when it came time to put her in a kindergarten, I'm like, well, I don't know this is my first time. Like I'm navigating this by myself, what school to put her in. Like, let me just like Google the top schools because I just knew I wanted the best for her. I wanted to set her up for success. And the school that came up, that was like the number 2 school in the state or whatever, number 2 public school is a public charter school called Yinghua Academy. Big shouts out to Yinghua Academy. And she was able to get the structure and the obviously the second language that I couldn't give her because I don't know, structure. I'm not a very structured person. I don't know if it's the artsy in me. I don't know if it's the undiagnosed ADD or whatever I think I have. But they gave her that. They complemented that for me. So she was able to have experiences that I wouldn't have been able to give her. But it was a choice that I was, instrumental in, making sure she taking the steps to get her into that school. I went and toured it, and I was nervous. Like, I'm like, what am I Chinese, like Mandarin? Like, I don't know Mandarin. I always thought I was gonna have my children be fluent in Spanish because that's what I knew a little bit of, and I wanted to be fluent in myself. So, but lo
mm,
and behold, it was just this rich experience for her looking back. Then she told me, like, Mommy, I'm so glad you put me in that school. Like, I think you made the right decision. And to
mm,
hear her say that was so validating because for a long time I was questioning, even while she was going through the school in her second, third grade, fourth grade. I'm like, did I do the right thing? Like, was this what I was supposed to do? So, it's just made her this rounded, well-rounded, young lady who's able to speak in front of people because they really emphasized and gave them lots of opportunities to be in front of people and speak and present in front of whether it was parents or like the school or the class, um just so many great things about that school. She has still some of her best friends are from that school, from her going there. What else? My parenting style. Yeah, so I'm relaxed. She's never gotten a whooping ever from me. I used to get whoopings when I grew up. Me and my sister were just talking about this morning. Like we got whoopings, with a belt. I wasn't abused, so don't worry, I'm good. I was just telling Veronica, my older sister, I was like, I don't have any moments of why did I get beat for that? Why did I get a whooping for that? It's like, no, every time I got a whooping, I'm pretty sure I deserved it. But it helped us. I don't know. I think it was just good, to keep in line and like respect, our mother. to this day, like, I respect her. I know she can't give me no whooping now, but, like, sometimes I remember it, I have flashbacks, like, uh-uh, she's still my mom. But then, so yeah, so my daughter never got a whooping. She didn't need one. She was just a very um well behaved kid. Now she's had her sassy moments, and I'll tell her when she's crossing the line, like, listen, I know I'm nice and everything, but you're gonna respect me. Like I've had to like lay the law or like put my stern, voice on and things. But now my second child, my middle child, the soon to be 3-year old, he gives me a run for my money. Okay. He's got more spankings than she's ever gotten because he needs them. Not with a belt, but like I spank him because he challenges me. So it's so different. Parenting is not a blanket thing. It's like you really have to move and shake and like it's a dance, right? It's about the partner you're dancing with. You got to move how they move, you know? And he shows me he needs a little bit more correcting and a little more sternness. But I'm also like, so parenting for me is like learning my child, learning what works. Spankings might not be the thing he needs all the time. Sometimes I'll catch myself and I'm like, you want a spanking? And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to threaten him with like pain to make him do a thing. Let me try a different
Mm,
approach. Let me try talking calmly to him.
mhm,
Let me see if that'll work. So just kind of like learning to be patient, learning to be responsive to what they need. It's a great lesson in life. And I think a lot of times when I'm parenting them, I'm like, oh, so this is how God looks at us because we're like children of God. And I'm like, okay, if we don't if we don't do well with one blessing he gives us, he's not going to keep, well, he's a good guy, so he'll still keep giving us blessings, but he wants us to take care of the things that he gives us. Or like there's little life lessons that I realize there's parallels as I'm parenting. So I'm trying to think of something real quick. Like the toys, right? He got toys all over, and he wants me to go bring him upstairs to get some more toys, and I'm like, no, you got to clean up your mess first. You got to clean up these toys you were playing with, then we can go get some more toys. Little things like that, and I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah.
So while I'm up here trying to get like more properties, God is telling me I need to get my business in order with these properties that I have before I go add more properties my portfolio. Okay. So, like I use my parenting as like these lessons in life and how God, kind of like parents us because he's never done parenting me. Like, I might need a spanking
Mm,
sometimes because I'm not listening. And if I listen and I do what he tells me to do, then I wouldn't be feeling this sting right now of life. Like I might need a correction every now and then to to correct me. And I do believe that that's how God deals with me and us. If you want to like blanket statement it, yeah, parenting has been my way of learning in life. Parenting has been my way also
mm,
of learning to love myself because my children love me in spite of
mm,
me. Like, and I'm like, wow,
mm,
like my son will tell me, my little soon to be 3-year old Sebastian will be like, I love you, mommy, out the blue. I love you, mommy. And then my daughter would tell me like, "Mom, like you're a great mom," because I'm always like, like I don't think I'm doing the best, that I could be doing, and like, I'll get in my moments, and she'll be like, "Mommy, you're a great mom," and like I'm so glad, like I had a great childhood. Wow, they show me that I am lovable, I am valuable in
mm,
spite of these things that I
mm,
might think make me not. So yeah,
mm.
it's been a blessing, big blessing.
Yeah, that is such a blessing. Do you think that motherhood has shifted your perspective about art and music making?
Yeah, I think about like, okay, sometimes I've wanted to like write about or be, well, I don't know, like express certain sides of me. And I'm like, I don't know if I want my children to, hear me say that down the line or, you know, like if certain songs aren't child friendly, I'm like, one day they're going to hear this and are they going to be like, nice, So I think about that, I
You
think also
said
about
that.
like, I know, but like now, I don't worry too much, if I want to put something out, I'm going to put it out. But, I've always thought about like what, how that would shape how would they feel hearing or saying something from me? But I think as they get older and they understand life, it won't be as big a deal. I think, and I don't do anything too raunchy, but like there was a song I put out called Michelangelo. And I'm like, that was like I'm feeling myself, I'm sexy, I'm grown and sexy. Cause I feel like sometimes I need to break out of this mold that I feel like I'm in of like goody, not goody two shoe, but I don't know, whatever. I'm like, I need to like express this side of me because this is a real side of me. And I feel like my music, I don't know, a song came to me and I went with it. Let's just put it that way. So it's like some of them songs that come to me and I'm like, I don't want to see that. I don't want it was just one that I didn't tuck away. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna make a video to it and everything. So it's out there. It's not bad or anything. I think it's very tasteful. But there's certain things that I just wouldn't do. Like, the trend of girls like in hip hop and urban music just being overly sexual and like wearing certain things. I'm like, I just could never because I just could never for multiple reasons. But the fact that I have a child and I never want my boys or my daughter to see me half naked, like shaking booty, like I would never. And it's just not who I am. So there's those things.
Mm.
When it comes to like, sometimes I'm like, I need to write a song that is celebratory and explanatory of my life as a mother. I haven't written it yet. I have one from back when my daughter was younger, and it's called "Go On." And it goes, "Let your light shine for the world to see. Go, go with your bad self. Your future's brighter. Your future's brighter than a shooting star. So go, go, go with your bad self. Sing hey, 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 hey." So anyway, that's a song that one of my friends, Chandrell, every now and then she'll bring it up and be like, "What happened to that song? You need to release that." So that could be one. So,
Hmm.
that was I remember writing that song when she was asleep in her crib one night. Like she had to be like 2 years old, maybe a little less than two. And I used to perform it, but I never recorded it. And I feel like that's what's missing from my
Hmm.
catalog. Like more songs that are like celebratory of my children or like that expresses my experience as a mother. Like I had a song called Laundry and Dishes. I kid you not. I started it, I just didn't finish it. I'm like, laundry and dishes, good morning
Universal.
kisses. Yeah, so I need to go back to that. I had somebody tell me that I should do a lullaby album. And today I was just singing the months of the year to my son. So maybe that's a place to explore. Like learning songs cuz kids learn or people learn through like melody and rhymes and like that's
Hmm.
a way to embed things like there to this day there's a quadratic formula that I only know because there's a song that goes with it. It's x equals the negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4a times c all over 2a. And every single time I've had to calculate the solution to a quadratic formula, I played it in my head. I'm a math major, so like I had to do it a lot. So anyway, so like I was singing, I said January, February, March, April, or whatever, however I did it. Like I was singing it, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to remember this so like I can record it, and like this could be a way that I teach him months of the year, days of the week, different
Hmm.
ways because
Hmm.
he's a very smart kid, Sebastian, my 3-year-old. Like he knows his colors, his numbers, his letters, his shapes, his animals. Like he knows like so if I'm intentional, I could really like teach him through music. So maybe that's my next musical thing, you know? Learning songs with Ashley.
Yeah. I mean, I think people would love that.
It would be fun. I know that's a fun
um,
project. I would have fun doing it. I don't know how big the market would be, but
you recently became a realtor and an investor. What prompted you to go into real estate?
Well, it was always on my list of goals. And I didn't know in what way, in what capacity. I just knew that real estate was something, a means to get build wealth. And when the pandemic hit and all of my performance dates got wiped off the calendar, I was like, oh shoot, are we ever gonna see a world in which like we're performing and again, like doing events? Because any social event that you would have a performer at was no longer a thing, right? For a while. So I had doomsday thinking, right? And I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to sing again. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll, in the meantime, pick up some skills and start, doing some other things to make up for the fact that I won't be singing anymore. But obviously that was way overboard thinking, but it did prompt me to finally look into learning about real estate. So I started taking classes to get my my real estate salesperson license. And so I got a little bit of a ways into that process. And then I discovered, because I purchased my first two properties that next year. So as you can imagine, if a whole year went by, I got a little bit ways into the process and then shelved it, right? So then I ended up buying my first property in June 2021, and then my next property in November 2021. The second property, when the uh appraisal came back exactly at the contract price that we agreed to sell and buy. So the seller said, okay, I'll sell it to you for this. And it was an offer that I had made. So I agreed to buy it for that. And then I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait till this appraisal comes back. I know I got some equity in the property, meaning I'm buying it for less than it cost. So there's built-in equity, that additional, cost that I'm not paying for, right?
Mm,
That's the building equity.
mhm, mhm,
When it came back at the contract price, I'm like, no, 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 wait a minute. This is a scam.
mm,
This is a shit. I've been bamboozled. I was like, I sent an email to my loan officer. I'm like,
mm,
by chance, did you send the contract over to the appraiser? Because somehow the price came back exactly at what we already agreed to pay for. And I'm like certain I've got at least 5 or 6, 5 or 10,000 of equity in it. And they're like, yeah, that's actually how we do it. Yeah,
mhm,
it's standard to send the contract. I'm like, wait a minute. An appraiser is supposed to give an unbiased opinion of price. Why does our agreed upon price have anything to do with it? Why are y'all sending this person our contract? It seems like that would skew their opinion of the price if they already know what we've agreed to. So, and that makes their job super
yeah,
easy because they're gonna be like, yeah, it's exactly what you guys agreed to do the transaction at. So I start digging in and figuring out, well, what is it that these appraisers do? Because whatever they're doing, it's easy and I can do it too. So let me find out what these appraisers are doing. And I started listening to video testimonials about people who were gotten into the appraisal field, and the day in the life of an appraiser, what they do. And I found out they do a lot of what I was already doing as a investor in real estate, like making sure that I'm offering not too much and not too little. Like I want to make sure I'm offering the right price. So I would do that by determining, well, what other prices, what other homes similar to this have sold for? Okay, how many bedrooms did this one have? Like comparing apples to apples to determine what price to offer based on the features of other homes that have sold in the area or that are on the market right now. So and that was the fun part for me because I have like this kind of like nerdy brain that likes to like compare and crunch numbers and stuff. And I was like, oh, I might actually like doing this. So I ended up starting the appraiser education. I've completed that, and then while I was on the roll and in a rhythm, I said, let me go ahead and get my real estate licensure education done. I mean, real estate salesperson education done, so I can go take my test. And by that time, I had purchased two more properties. So now four properties in, I'm like, I'm doing all the work of, I'm doing a lot of work and I feel very capable and very knowledgeable. Let me save some money too. That was another motivator for me to get my license. So I had started
mhm,
the education, and then some time went by and I got my license. So now I'm able to facilitate my own transactions and have access to the MLS, which has all the data for homes that have sold and that are coming on the market or that are currently on the market. You get more of an inside look, and you don't have a middleman that is doing it um, for you, because I am the middleman. I'm the realtor.
Mm,
So that's how I
mhm,
got into that. It was largely to help make my life as an investor easier, but now I'm like, I really want to help other people too. And I'm able to do that. So I have a buyer closing next month, which I'm excited about. And I want to help some more people, especially people who are looking to get into investing. So, especially artists, if there's any artists out there who are looking, because, um, where we are operating as artists in a space that, you got to get creative on how you get your money. You have to get it from performing or having like installations or whatever the case may be, but then you got to also get it in multiple ways. And I think real estate is a great way to invest that money that we earn. And then, specifically multifamily in real estate, because you can live in one unit and rent out the other unit or units, and that's bringing you income, and it's also building up the equity in your property, and it's helping you live for little to nothing. These are ways that we can still build wealth, even though as an artist it's not thought of as a field that's normally lucrative. Some of us get really, blessed, and we're able to make a living, a very good living as artists. But I think it's still important to, like, get a 401k, get a Roth IRA, get some real estate, things like that. So during a rainy season,
mhm,
you still got other ways that you got money coming in.
mhm,
If you can't, or decide not, you don't want to perform or create, you still have these different ways that you're setting yourself up down the road for financial security. So yeah, that's
mhm.
why I got into real estate, because I knew I needed and I wanted financial security, and I wanted to build wealth for my family. And I didn't think that music was going to be my only source of income. So, and the pandemic prompted me to like pursue that.
You're doing so much, and I'm sure everyone asks you if you're still singing, and that's not my question because I know the answer to that. But my question is about balance, because you are doing so much, and all of these things could be a full time job in and of themselves. How do you do it all, and how's that going for you?
Um, that's a good question. I have a support system that I'm grateful to be able to lean on, especially um, I'm grateful that my children's father and I are back together and able to support each other in the same household. So really, it's family, it's my fiance, it's friends. They've allowed me to pursue all the things that I'm doing. Right when I have shows and I have rehearsals, I'm like, can you guys watch the babies for me? I gotta, do this 3 hour rehearsal. Can you watch when I got this performance, or I gotta go do this showing? We don't have childcare right now because it's very expensive. And right now, the way things are set up, it just doesn't make sense for us to put them in childcare. We would literally be working to pay for childcare so that we could work to pay for childcare. So it just doesn't make sense right now. Down the line, as we increase our income, I'm hoping to be able to do that. Um, we're going to put them in daycare, and that'll be another support for us. But right now, it's really family, friends, and my partner, and my daughter. She's a built-in babysitter. Sometimes she don't want to be. We don't lean on her too much, but she's definitely been a saving grace on more than a few occasions. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm able to do it. I don't think I'm doing the best job balancing. I think I can definitely do better. I think that structure that I lack, I need to put some scheduling in place and really build a habit of relying on my systems and scheduling. Because right now it's like a juggling act, right? And I want it to be more like a machine. Like, we have, this is what we're doing. We're meal planning, meal prepping. We got days where we go to the store. We have a set schedule, but there's so many moving pieces because I don't have a day job, where it's like day to day, week to week is gonna look different. So I think that's just the nature of the beast right now. I'd like to be able to get it a little more predictable and fluid and less hectic. But we do what we do. We do what we have to do. And
Hmm.
that's what it is
Hmm.
right now.
If people want to see and hear your work or learn more about you, where is a good place for them to find that information?
I have music on all the platforms that you might listen to your favorite music. So Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. So you can go there. You go to Ashley DuBose um, on Instagram, Ashley DuBose. I am Ashley DuBose on Facebook. I haven't been very active on the social media platforms, so you're not going to get a whole lot of real time stuff from me. But as far as music and what I've put out there already, you can find that very easily by putting my name into the search engine on any of those platforms. And I hope you enjoy and connect with something you hear. And yep, that's how you get a hold of me. If anybody's interested in communicating with me more directly, you can send a message to Ashley DuBose Music at gmail.com. I'm very responsive on email, and or you can send me a message on Instagram. And when I do see your message, I'll get back to you that way. But the best way to communicate with me directly is email.
Beautiful. Ashley, thank you so much. It was so great to speak with you, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy, busy day to speak with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for letting me go down memory lane and just talk your ear off. And I hope that you and your viewers and listeners enjoyed.
And to the audience, thank you so much for listening. This has been another edition of the Sanguine Arts Locavart podcast.